Hey everybody, let's talk about D5 Render 2.10's updates to the AI post-processing. So let's get started. So if you don't know, the AI post-processor can be accessed by two ways. The simplest way, in my opinion, is you can go to image and you can render out an image. And what I recommend before you do that, under channels, you should just uncheck everything except this guy, AI post channel. And I'll talk about why that's important in just a second. So you can either render here or go to the dedicated AI post processing button. But if I click it right now, I don't have a source other than previous renderings that I've done in the past, right? So if you've got a fresh image, which is this one, I need to render it in order for it to live here. So let's do that. So now that I've rendered out an image, the AI post-processing button is right here. Again, this is equivalent to this guy, all right? So I'm gonna click that. And now you'll see that this is actually part of my source. If you ever have an image here in your source and you double click it, it will move to your preview, okay? Your preview is where you can start editing it and adding some post-process features. So let's go straight from the top. We have the default AI enhancer. This just improves the overall quality of the image. This is phenomenal. So how this works is you can select regions either by clicking, right? And you see how it's picking up these masks? Okay, well, where are the masks coming from? Remember how we checkmarked that little channel that said AI post-processing? This is to help D5 Render understand the composition of the image. So literally the makeup. So it knows that these trees are the same object. This is the same field. This is another material. Makes it easier to select. So that's this guy. So why would you want to do this? Well, there's a couple times, or at least scenarios in my experience, where people just don't want AI to touch a specific part of a building. And, you know, that's for a variety of reasons. Maybe it changes something that they don't want changed. You know, designers are very sensitive about their work. So this gives you a little bit of control. So if you just want to edit the asphalt, you just click that and then you can enhance it. If you want to enhance the whole image, don't select anything, but you have that as an option. So this is a crossing window. So anything it hits, it will select. So I don't want any of that to be selected. So I'm just going to X out and then reselect. You could hold down Alt to deselect, but it's just easier to just drop everything. So then right down here, this is the enhancement weight. So this is basically saying how much AI magic do you want applied to the scene? The default is 0.7. 0.7, it's pretty good. In my opinion, I think I'd rather reduce it down to 0.5. That way it's not as apparent that I went through the AI enhancer, because, you know, again, what I was saying earlier, you don't want it to kind of distort anything. So I like to put it at 0.5. I think that's a really good balance between enhancing my current image without changing too many details. So all you have to do is hit AI enhancer, and this will add it to the queue. The queue is going to go right down here, and you can see any past images that you've done on this batch down here or in your task area. I'll talk about that in a second. So here you can see this is baking out. It's at 0%. And while it's thinking, let's go through the other options. So the next button is AI style transfer. And so what's really nice about this is you could take your realistic rendering and you could do a style transfer. So if you don't want it to look realistic and you just want it to look watercolor or cartoony, you have a lot of nice little presets here. So I'm going to add a cartoon just so you could see. So I'm going to go here, and again, it's the same idea. You can talk about how much weight do you want transferred. So the actual image style, the higher the values, the more artistic it is. The lower the value, the less artistic. And then the structure matching weight is how much do you want to preserve your original details. So again, the default settings are phenomenal. So I'm going to transfer that over. So that's baking. The other part of AI style transfer are realistic settings. It's not just, you know, sketchy watercolor. You could do a complete change. You could go to winter, right? You have a bunch of different presets right here, or you could find a reference photo. So let me show you how that works. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to generate a reference image using Magnific Mystic, super useful tool. And I'm going to render this out. And so this is going to give me 4 different images, and I'm just going to generate a suburban house with a dramatic sky, just because I want to show you the difference of what the style transfer can do. So I want something kind of crazy looking. So let's see. All right, I love this guy. So I'm just going to download this and I'm going to drop that in there. Now I can go to upload a reference image. I'm going to grab that image I just created and I'm going to hit AI style transfer. Okay, and that's going to be added. So while that's baking, let's look at our original images. So I'm going to scroll in, and on my right, this is the 0.5 and this is the before. This is the default render. So I want you to pay attention to the textures. So especially around the car and the brick and the vegetation, look at how much is being enhanced. So it's essentially like sharpening everything and making it look photoreal. Like look at this, look at the bark. And just pay attention to like all the weathering it adds. Like these are phenomenal details. And because we lowered the weight, it's not impacting the overall design, right? Like my bricks still look like bricks, the vegetation, same species, right? So this, in my opinion, it's like, why wouldn't you run your image through it? You know, like this is a no-brainer. So you can move around by holding pan in here, and let's zoom in here. And same thing, it's enhancing the reflections, right? It's kind of like, in a way, I didn't run this through Path Tracer, but it's kind of like doing that in terms of like enhancing the reflections and making them super sharp. So, you know, a little bonus there. But like, look at this. Look at how amazing this looks. Same thing on this. So overall, phenomenal job. And the people, you know, we'll talk about that in just a little, because you'll see they're getting enhanced a little bit, and that is due to distance, but there is a way for us to go one step further. And we can do the same thing with this little field right here, because they have a very nifty tool called Inpainting that we'll talk about in just a second. But let's just look around. Look at that. So 0.5 does plenty enough. The other image we baked out was that cartoon image. Like this, in my opinion, is beautiful. I love this style, but because of distance, things may get distorted, right? So just pay attention to that. This is also due to the weight of the cartoon, right? I had this quite high. If I had this lower, we probably wouldn't see the same impact. So if you're noticing you're losing, you know, some sort of detail, pay attention to the depth of the object and the weight you're using. Then next, we've got the AI style transfer, right? So now it's taking the coloring of that image and applying it here. So it's adding a lot of those like oranges and everything. So look at that. Very, very cool. But again, you have to be careful of the weights because things may start changing. But overall, these are beautiful images. I highly recommend you start like building up your own library of like style reference images that are really good, and then adding that on top. But as always, and I know I keep saying this, you do want to pay attention to the weights here, right? So you want this to be higher if you're running into issues where you're losing details, and you might want to lower this if you want less or more of an impact. So just since we're here, let me boost this to 1, right? And let me run that through. And then I'll do another one at 0.1, just so you can see the difference between them. So let's bake that out again. I'm gonna upload that again, and then let's set this to 0.1. And while that's baking, let's do another one for that cartoon set, just so you can see what's going on. I'll make that 0.1. Sorry, I'll make that 0.3 because we still want the cartoon, and I'll boost the structure, and we'll bake all these guys out. And if I wasn't clear before, you can queue up a bunch of these, right? It's not like one at a time. You could do a bunch, totally fine. So here we can see their progress. So far we've done our 0.5, our cartoon at 0.6, our custom style transfer from a image we generated. And now we've got our other flavors coming through. If you ever forget which settings you used, because right now I'm going off of memory, you could just click this guy, details, and look right down here. It will tell you what the strength is and the mode it came from. So this is style transfer from reference. But if I were to go here, this says cartoon. So little handy trick, because once you start doing this a lot, this is going to get filled up, and you're not going to remember which was which. So here I can see this is 0.5. So now here, if we go back, this is my cartoon, and this is 0.3. So this is quite weak, but we're keeping the structure high. So you can see like it is adding some of those details. And now let's compare it to the other one. So we're losing like the detail up here. You see that? So basically giving you like a light flavor of it. But again, because of the distance, we are losing some of those details. So let's go over here. This should be our 0.1. So this is quite weak. And this is important to note because notice the difference between this image of 0.1 versus our base. So it's very, very subtle, but look at how some of the things changed at the higher weight, but in the lower weight, they stayed the same, like the color of the car stayed the same, just like the overall temperature and the overall mood was enhanced. And then this is the higher version. This was 1 and 1. So you see how it's adding all those details here? Like I made the asphalt green. So some of the things you need to watch out when you make that weight too high. So don't go too high is my point here. And we've got the proof here. So let's go back to our base image and let's talk about Inpainting because this was the biggest addition. So I'm going to go to Inpainting, and now you can select 4 different areas. You've got the sky, water, vegetation, and character. So I'm going to show you sky real quick. And by default, D5 understands what sky is. And I'm going to go from a bright sunny day to a overcast cloudy day. So this is really cool because it's going to drop that into here and it's going to change the overall coloring and mood of my scene. So I had to maximize it just so I could see the buttons. By default, the preview is a little teeny. So I'm just going to hit Inpainting and make sure my sky is selected perfect. And we'll send that over. So that's going to bake there. The other important thing that it does is it does add vegetation. So I left this blank on purpose. So I can go to vegetation. And now based on the type of vegetation I want, if I want a flower garden or, you know, just bushes, I can select a profile. So I want to go with this one. I'll go with the first one and same thing. Let me maximize it and I'll click this region. And I'm going to hit Inpainting. If I had more regions, I could select them. That's the whole point of this. But I'm fine with that one region. I'll hit Inpainting. And we'll send that over. And while that's going, let's do another one for the people. So I'm going to go Inpainting, Character. And now I'm going to select the people here. And we're going to inpaint them. So we've got a couple different options baking right now. Okay, so now it looks like our clouds have been baked in. So now do it before and after. So really cool, easy way to change the overall look and feel of your image by just inpainting a different sky. So instead of you finding an HDRI, you could just use Inpainting to give you that option. So that's really nice. If you went with like a nighttime view or like something like a sunset, it would change the colors of the rest of your scene. So check this out. If we go to Inpainting, let's go to sky and let's go with twilight. Now our characters have baked out. So let me zoom in. So before and after. So you can see it makes them look much more realistic. And really the thing with all these AI tools is you need to really think about the distance of things. Things that are closer to you are going to have the most impact. Things that are further away, they're going to lose their impact. So we'll see things like midground, background, you know, have a slight enhancement, but things really close up, you know, like the bark of the tree, right, are going to have the biggest impacts, right? There is a little bit of a fall off to pay attention to. So if you're noticing like things aren't being enhanced as much, well, you might want to boost the weight of something, right? So then this is our inpainting of the grass, right? And look at that. So one of the nice, I guess, workflows you could think about for this is if you don't have the best hardware and adding a lot of the scatter and like the 3D grass bogs down your PC, this might be an option for you, right? You could just select all these areas and then you could just inpaint it with AI. So you don't need to worry about that polygon load, right? So again, super, super cool. You've got a bunch of different options and profiles to add, but super quick. And then lastly, we have our twilight. And so this is what I was talking about, how depending on how drastic the change is, it will change the overall color and mood. So this is kind of like the AI atmosphere match in a way, if you're familiar with that tool. So this guy right up here, where you upload an image. So very, very similar, but it just applies to a static image. So this is really cool. It darkened, right, the exposure of everything, and it changed that. It added the nice twilight background. Super cool. So now let's move on to effects. So effects, and this didn't change from before, but like you could do sharpening and denoising in here. So watch this. Let me just crank sharpening up and give it a second. And it's kind of like little Photoshop in here. So that's useful, but I want to highlight the new features. We do have motion blur. So motion blur is really good for cars and sometimes people in motion. I would not use it for these people because they're idle. Okay. Pay attention to that, because I feel like I see a lot of like renderings where people motion blur things that shouldn't be motion blurred. So motion blur the things that move. So how this works is, because we did the mask, I could select the car right here, or I could do a box, but I'm happy with the selection. So that's good. So now I'm going to boost the weight here. Okay. And the weight is the strength. Okay. So phenomenal job here, right? This looks very, very good. I don't need to go to Photoshop. And then because D5 knows this is a car, because we generated that mask early on, I could just check mark this guy, tail light, and it will give me the long exposure tail lights. So pretty fun. Again, you don't want to go too high with the weight. Keep it subtle. You know, I hope that's like my takeaway from this video. You don't want to crank things too high, or then it just becomes like a blurred mess, right? Like that's too much. That's not realistic. Keep it classy, keep it tasteful. You know, this is totally fine. And total preference about the tail lights. I think for like nighttime scenes, totally worth doing. I think for like a daytime shot like this, it's totally fine. And if you're unsure what this angle guy is, this is the angle of the motion blur. So now I did 65. So now it's like going that way. Obviously that's not realistic. So I'm going to set this back to 0. This is super useful because not every object is going to be directly flat on the horizon. It might be on a slight angle. So you do have that option. Anyways, when you're happy with the image or the output, you could go right here and download it. And then this will just save it out. Or if you have a bunch of images like I do, you can actually just click task and then you can select from here, and then it'll bring you to that image and then you can download it. So it's kind of nice because it puts all these projects in a different container. So this is a project I was doing earlier, and this is the one I'm working on now. So it's a nice way to stay organized. So big fan of this workflow. And what you could do is you can do a bulk selection. So I hit edit right there, and now I check mark this, and now I can download all of these out. So I'm just going to put this in a folder. I can hit select folder, and now it's going to download. So that's a handy little trick. That way, you know, if you've got 10 images like I do, you don't have to go manually. But just remember, you can click from here to bring you to that image, and then you can inspect it further with details. So let me just go to that folder, and this little shout out to whoever came up with this, but it's kind of clever about the naming convention. You saw I didn't name anything. It knows what it did. So very useful. So what I mean by that is, you know, the sky was an inpainting, right? This was a inpainting of the grass. This was an inpainting of the sky. These are style transfers, right? That's where the name is coming from. More style transfers, but cartoon. And then we have the upscale, which was that 0.5 from before. So super handy. So anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions about this, drop in the comments. And as always, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. See you next time.